All right, C1x Report. It's time for the Discraft Great Lakes Open. I'm a number of days late on this. Kind of went back and forth with myself on how I was going to continue doing the C1x reports. And one thing I have really enjoyed doing is covering moving day rounds and going down to last cash. That's a type of disc golf that we typically don't get to see on coverage. Sometimes it's people who are lower rated having a good tournament. Sometimes it's people who are higher rated having a bit of a meltdown. It happens to all of us. We've all had bad tournaments. But I think it's fun to kind of see that different side of disc golf as opposed to just watching the guys shred the whole time. So moving forward, we're just going to cover moving day rounds. And we're going to jump into moving day at D-Glow. So last cast position at D-Glow after round 3 was Jaden Rye. Not super familiar with him. I know I've seen his name a little bit. Almost 1030 rated player. Almost average 1030 rated for the event, but did not have a good third round. So I apologize, Jaden, that this is the one I'm covering, but that's how we're going to do these reports moving forward. I was doing the same thing in previous tournaments. I was just covering other rounds as well. And now we're just going to cover these moving day rounds. So let's start off by getting the course into the app. Doing it on the Android simulator today. C1x is officially in for review. So this is largely what the app's going to look like. What are we calling this? The Toboggan? Whoa. Did I already put a K in there? Here we go. Kensington Toboggan. This is largely what the app is going to look like on launch. It's in with Apple and Google for review right now. The goal is to launch C1X by the end of September. Be doing a little bit of a social media launch campaign. I'm going to do some in-person launch here, in-person marketing for the launch here in Salt Lake City, where I'm based. Probably take a little bit of a breather, and then we're going to jump into some really cool features for C1X. Right now, I think it's probably about 10 to 20% more, we'll say more powerful than what is currently available in terms of stat keeping. C1X already gives you a more in-depth breakdown than a PDGA Live would or UDIS would. It's got some fun graphics that you can't get on those apps, but that's kind of all that sets it apart right now. I have some new features on my to-do list that I think are going to make it just a completely different app. Totally new experience. It'll still have all the basic scorekeeping and stat keeping that it does right now, but it's going to take that to a whole new level, which I'm pretty excited about as a disc golfer who's trying to improve and eventually get to the level of the guys that I'm covering in these reports. So long-winded. Let's jump into it now. As always, we're going to start with the pars. Hole 2 is a par 4, 3 and 4 are as well. 6, 7, and 8 are all par 4s. 10 is a par 4. 14 is a par 4. 15 is a par 5. And then we finish with 2 par 4s at the end. Toboggan is a tough course. We're going to throw it not quite towards the end. Very end is where I like to put like the monsters, the Northwood Black. But definitely still a really hard course. And if you're not aware, this course difficulty at the end really only affects your round grade that C1X gives you. Obviously, fairway hits, putting stats are all going to get calculated the same regardless of how difficult the course is. True everywhere, that includes C1X. So now we'll go throw in the distances here. I am naturally an Apple user, so I'm not sure what this little menu is that this is popping up constantly. It's definitely an Android thing and not a C1X thing, but that's all right. It's only when I'm typing, which we won't have to do once I'm done adding the distances in. This is going to be I think kind of in similar style to a lot of rounds at Toboggan, a pretty par heavy round. I know I've heard some pros complain about that being the case. I at the start of the year was thinking about traveling to D-Glow to try to play in this event, but the two things that I've heard about it are that it's ridiculously long and it's not a very lefty friendly course. And I am not the farthest throwing lefty. So didn't know if that was going to be a ton of fun, but anyways, we got our distances in. Let's go back, start a round. Kensington Toboggan, hole 1. Let's start throwing Jaden's round in here. All right, so hole 1. driving landed in circle 2, missed the circle 2 putt, and found OB behind the basket, I guess, on that big long downhill dogleg right. Found penalty, but was putting from 16 feet, made the putt for the bogey. Hole 2 in the fairway, upshot into circle 1. Looks like missed the birdie putt. Had a comebacker from 26 feet. Made the comebacker. That's a nice hit. Hole 3, OB off the tee, it looks like. We'll say throwing from the fairway, upshot into circle 2. Missed the circle 2 putt, but made the 26-foot comebacker for the bogey. Hole 4 looks like in the rough off the tee. Second shot into the fairway. Looks like third shot into the fairway, didn't get inside circle 1 until his fourth. Hit the 16-footer for bogey. Hole 5 looks like in the fairway. Second shot to circle 1. Missed the circle 1 putt, had a tap in bogey. So 4 over through the first 5. Obviously a rough start. Hole 6 in the fairway. Upshot into circle 2, looks like, or into circle 1, excuse me. Circle 1 putting was definitely a struggle here. Already missed 3 putts inside the circle on the first 6 holes. And it's, I hear people call the Toboggan a thrower's course, and it absolutely is, but it's a putting course too, as they all are. And it's so hard to throw good shots off the tee when you have no confidence in hitting your circle 1 putts. And Jaden may have still had confidence at this point, but one way or another, he's not hitting them at this point. And I mean, kudos to him for going on a birdie stretch after this, because when it is a thrower's course and you're not throwing the disc great, but even when you do throw okay shots, you're not hitting your putts. It's every tee shot after a missed putt becomes that much harder. Because you feel like you have to keep it close. You feel like you can't throw it to 26 feet because you're not in the mood to attempt another one of those putts. Keep rolling here. All right. Hole 7, drive in the fairway, upshot to 26 feet, and then did hit a nice birdie putt there. Get things moving in the right direction. Hole 8, very similar. Hole 8 is maybe hole 4. One of them was the real easy par 4 where you just kind of throw a hyzer. I was thinking it was hole 4, but I could be wrong. Hole 8, drive landed, or maybe hole 8's the roller hole that everyone goes roller off the tee. That might be the case. Drive in the fairway, an upshot to 16 feet in the basket for birdie. Hole 9, drive into circle 2, missed the circle 2 putt but had a tap in par. Hole 10, drive in the fairway, upshot to 16 feet in the basket for birdie. Hole 11, drive to 26 feet, another great edge of circle hit for birdie. Got back to even, which has got to feel great after 4 over through 5. But then we kind of jump back into the same issue. Hole 12, drive into circle 1, missed the C1x putt. Back to 6 feet for the tap-in par. I always assume missed circle 1 putts are C1x putts. They're not inside the bullseye. That's not something that the PDGA Live gives you the ability to see, but 1030 rated disc golfer, I assume he's not missing ones inside of 11 feet. I'm not 1030 rated. I don't remember the last tournament putt I missed inside of 11 feet, so safe assumption that he's not either. Hole 3, drive in the rough, or hole 13, but was able to throw an upshot to 6 feet for the tap-in par. Hole 14, drive in the fairway, upshot into circle 2. I'm always guessing distances on circle 2. Doesn't affect stats too heavily at this point, so it's okay for me to guess those. Missed circle 2 putt, hit the 16-foot comebacker for the par. Hole 15, a couple shots in the fairway, upshot into circle 1, but then missed the circle 1 putt for birdie. Had the tap-in par. Hole 16 is that tricky par 3 kind of downhill. I think there's a pine tree kind of on the left side that people find. Looks like he found penalty off the tee. I believe you go to a drop zone, and I think that drop zone's in circle 2, which it looks like it is. Not too far outside circle 2, but there's OB right behind the basket, and it looks like Jaden found that as well, and then hit the 16-footer for the double bogey. After the 2 OBs, which is killer. That's a tough way to go finish the round. 17 in the fairway, upshot into circle 2, 6-foot tap in for the par. And then hole 18, fairway, into circle 1, putting for birdie. Missed the C1x putt for birdie, hit the 16-foot comebacker for the par. So that's kind of funny. I don't think I've seen this before. We're all one color on every row. Great stretch of 6 holes in the middle there for Jaden. Pars are not bad. At Deglow, obviously competing for wins, trying to get high finishes. You got to get some birdies, but it's so hard to get birdies in general on that course. 4 under through the middle 6 is great. The pars on the back 6 weren't bad. It was just that double bogey on 16, which happens fast. I know it's the type of hole where you throw a drive that's not terrible, but maybe you catch that pine tree drop OB, and you run the drop zone putt, and maybe he just got it a little high, skipped off the top of the basket. It's really easy to take a double on 16 with 2 okay shots. Anywho, we'll hit finish round here. Let's take a look at the round in C1X. 11,000 feet. That is a long course. Middle stretch of holes is good. C1X putting is, I think, going to be the story of it for me. I know that he wasn't throwing the disc incredible, but it wasn't terrible. Inside circle 2 in regulation on 72% of the holes. I'd say that's pretty good. Really, the C1X putting at 65%. Kind of let him down. MA1 plus round, I assume Jaden wouldn't disagree with that. I can imagine that he felt like that was a pretty subpar round for him. And it looks like he did put together 3 other good rounds in the tournament, so I'm just naturally covering the worst one, I think. Great stretch in the middle there. Had an opportunity to go 5 down, making a C1 putt on hole 12, but it happens. 0% C2, 65% C1X. That's really what's bringing the round rating down. It is a really hard course. He had a couple OB strokes, 3, I think. Let's go down here. 4 penalty strokes. Oh, yeah, 2 on the front 6. All right, 4 penalty strokes, so that doesn't help. But lots of throws, lots of pars. Putting distances pretty spread out. Not a lot of circle 2 attempts. And I know at the Toboggan it's really easy to have some circle 2 attempts where you're throwing the disc. So it's not necessarily a circle 2 putt you're trying to make. I know there were some forehand throw-ins on Jomez. It's definitely that type of course where there's some rough around the basket, and it's occasionally pretty bad. No 3 putts, which is maybe a silver lining on a bad putting day. Birdie conversion rate, not great. That's probably the lowest I've seen, and that is, I think, the telling story from the round is he was throwing the disc well enough to have a lot of chances for birdie from circle 1 and circle 2. This stat means that for every hole that he made it inside circle 1 in regulation, only getting the birdie on 44% of those holes. And there is some bad rough, but typically if you're in C1 at the Toboggan, I think you have a pretty good putt at it. And he's the type of player, the caliber of player that I'm sure he expects to make all those. So birdie conversion rate was definitely the point of the day. 6 missed C1X putts. It hurts. Slightly better back 9, but that double bogey hurt at the end. Did have 10 holes bogey free in a row. They were just sandwiched by a number of bogeys. So tough round for Jaden. I don't think he threw the disc terribly, but putting definitely hurt. I think that's what's resulting in the low round rating as well. So it is a bummer. Let's take our screenshot here. My graphic is set up for iPhones. So we'll see if this works. I might have to go adjust that slightly off camera, but we'll get it most of the way there. So let's go grab that screenshot. We'll drop this in here. It might still be close enough. Yeah, it's off a little bit. All right. I'll have to go grab a Android frame for this, but I won't make anyone watching the video watch that. So Jaden Rye round 3. +2 at a 68. What was that rated? Was it 999? Yes. Almost 1,000 rated, basically 1,000 rated round. All right, the highlights that we're going to call out today. I'm going to leave the C1x putting on there. That's the app's namesake, obviously, and I think a pretty important stat to highlight here. Let's go C1 birdie conversion. Can I fit this on here? It's going to be delicate. Maybe not. You can tell I am a marketing guru, right? This is what I focus on. All right, let's pick a different stat. I'll give him the C1 in regulation stat because I think that's pretty telling too, because it wasn't that bad. C1 in regulation, sitting at 50%. Didn't even have to change the stat. Where's my center line here? Yeah, that's good. All right, and last stat to highlight here. Probably the penalty rate. Not the greatest stat, but maybe the penalty rate. 17%. That means on 70% of the holes, he had a penalty stroke. All right. So other than adjusting the phone background here, this is going to be up on the C1x social media account. We'll keep rolling with these moving day graphics for the playoffs starting in a couple weeks. Continue that through the rest of the year. But let's go ahead and fill out the thumbnail for the video. Great Lakes Open round 3. Was going to give him a buy rating. I can tell already looking at it, since I am a couple days late on this, that I do think Jaden ended up putting together a good round, going well above the cash, but I think I would have given him a buy rating anyways. 1030 rated player shooting a 999 rated round. You just know that they're going to come out with a little bit of fire. In that last round, I'm sure spent a little time on the putting green after round 3. Makes all the C1x putts, and all of a sudden this is a 4-under. So that was, he threw the disc well enough. What's a 4-under rated? 1036. So he threw the disc well enough to get a 1036 rated round. That's what no C2 makes. That's just hitting all of his C1x putts. So would have given him a buy rating anyways. It's a good disc golfer. Like his chances going into, well, I don't know if he's going to make the playoffs. I don't know what the Pro Tour standings look like. But I would have liked the chances round 4 regardless, and I think that would have been a good choice. So that's going to wrap it up for the C1x report for the Discraft Great Lakes Open. We'll keep rolling with the moving days on future Pro Tour tournaments. And yeah, that was Jaden Rye's round 3. We can, I won't spoil it for anyone. Can I do this real quick? I don't think so. Look away if you don't want it spoiled. We'll see where Jaden finished. Yeah, put together a 7-under that last round. So great finish, a pretty unfortunate ending to the round, but 16, 17, and 18 are all brutal holes. So not surprising to see that. It is a bummer. He was sitting at 10 under, it looks like, before hole 16. So could have been pretty special. Still ended up being a really good round. Jaden did put it together in that final one, though. So anyways, we'll call it there for the C1x report video. We'll see you guys in the next Pro Tour tournament. And as always, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for C1x dropping at the end of the month on iOS and Android. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.